So the very glass designed to save your life might actually be your death sentence. Modern cars now come with laminated side windows that are, for all practical purposes, unbreakable. Which sounds great, right up until you're upside down in a canal and your cabin has quietly transformed into a reinforced glass coffin. Your cute little safety hammer, the one you bought off Amazon for $11, that's officially a paperweight now. So stick around because I'm going to tell you the story of how the auto industry solved a problem nobody was really dying from by creating one that might actually end up killing you. So picture this, it's 2009, you're in a Honda Civic, you clip a curb, the car rolls once and pop, the driver's window blows out like a soap bubble. Which is not great for your arm, yes, which is now technically outside the vehicle, but also there's an opening. An opening is an option, an opening is a way out. Now picture the same crash in a 2026 model. Same roll, same impact, but the window doesn't pop. It doesn't even crack really. It just sort of dimples like you punched a trampoline. It holds its shape, stays in frame, and calmly informs you that you aren't really going anywhere and you're staying exactly where you are. And the problem is that that is how the window is supposed to work. The window is working perfectly. So let's talk about old tempered glass for a second because it deserves a eulogy. Tempered side glass was basically the class clown of automotive safety. Dramatic, a little unstable, and prone to absolutely exploding into 1,000 pieces the second you looked at it wrong. Rear-ended, boom, glass everywhere. Rolled the car over, boom. Dropped a wrench on it from 4 feet up in your garage for no reason because you're an idiot, also boom. But it was chaotic in a way that occasionally ended up saving your life because tempered glass had exactly one job, and that was, when things went sideways, get out of the way. It shattered on command. A rescuer or you or your own furious elbow if you're worthy could turn a solid window into an exit in about a second and a half. Fast forward to today, automakers looked at that glass and said, hey, this is a liability. Both literally in the legal sense and emotionally in the sense that flying tempered glass occasionally contributed to people being partially or fully ejected during rollovers, which is exactly as bad as it sounds. So the industry pivoted, and they pivoted very hard. Enter laminated side glass. The same technology that's been in your windshield this whole time is now spreading sideways like a very responsible rash. 2 panes of glass with a tough plastic layer bonded in the middle. When it's hit, it doesn't shatter, it deforms, it stretches. It holds together like a spiderweb that refuses to let go of the fly out of sheer stubbornness. The pitch, if you're an engineer standing in a boardroom, is genuinely a great one. Nobody gets thrown from the vehicle. The cabin structure stays rigid in a rollover. Road noise drops so low that your previous gen Civic driving neighbor thinks you just upgraded to a luxury sedan. Soundproofing, rollover protection, fewer rejections. Honestly, what's not to love? Well, here's what's not to love. You built a car that is really good at keeping things in, including you. Especially when in is now on fire, or filling with water, or both, because apparently that's a combination that could exist with EVs, and nobody warned me about it before I start researching this video. So here's the actual dilemma, and I want you to sit with it for a second instead of just rushing past it. Ejection during a rollover is quite rare, unless you're Middle Eastern, I think. But it is genuinely catastrophic when it happens, like worst outcome catastrophic. Entrapment during submersion or a fire is also quite rare, but it is also catastrophic. And arguably, personally, I think is worse. Because it doesn't happen in a split second, it happens over minutes. Minutes where you're fully conscious, fully aware, and fully unable to open a door that a rising wall of water has pressure locked shut. Next to a window that now behaves less like glass and more like a very polite, very immovable trampoline. We just ended up relocating the danger and nobody sent out a memo. Okay, let's get into how this stuff actually works because it's kind of wild in a why did nobody tell me this sort of a way. Laminated glass is basically a windshield sandwich, and your side window just got invited to the party. You got a layer of glass, then a clear plastic polymer film. Think of a very tough, very boring sheet of laminate, like the stuff between your driver's license and, well, itself. And then another layer of glass on top, bonded together under heat and pressure until it's basically one unit that just happens to look like normal glass. When something hits tempered glass, the whole pane of glass is under internal stress. Like a glass held together purely out of spite, and one good knock releases all of it at once. When something hits laminated glass, the glass layer might crack locally, sure, but that plastic film in the middle just stretches because it's designed to stretch. It absorbs the impact like a trampoline absorbs a jump. Except the trampoline is also somehow bulletproof adjacent and also soundproof, and also somehow the thing standing between you and freedom. This is where your emergency tools quietly retire. That spring-loaded center punch window breaker, the one that's supposed to fire a tiny spike into the glass and turn it into confetti. It works great on tempered glass because tempered glass wants to break. It's basically waiting for an excuse. It's dying for it.
Do you want it?
I don't want
Because you're
to.
asking for it. You're dying for it.
Laminate glass does not want to break. You can hit it with the little spring punch all day long and get a satisfying sound and a small crack, maybe. And the window will just sit there fully intact, structurally unbothered, like you tapped it with a spoon. Same story with the classic emergency hammer with the pointy little hammerhead. The one every dashboard organization YouTuber tells you to buy. Great tool, built for a world of tempered glass. But when it meets laminated glass, it just sort of bounces off, philosophically defeated. And here's the part that actually matters. The part that made me want to make this video instead of just complaining about it to myself in the shower like a crazy person. Emergency responders are running into this exact same wall. Trauma medicine has this concept called golden hour, the window after a serious crash where getting someone to real medical care dramatically changes their odds. Recent 2026 safety reporting has flagged that laminated side glass is meaningfully slowing down extrication times. Because the tools firefighters have carried in their trucks for decades were built for a world where side glass windows shattered, not stretched. So now they're showing up to a rollover, reaching for the same glass breaking tool that's worked for 30 years, and discovering that now it basically does nothing. We upgraded the glass, but we forgot to upgrade the people trying to get through it. Alright, enough doom. Let's talk about what you can actually do with this information because that's the whole point of me yelling about window physics for 6 minutes. First, the tools. If you're relying on a spring-loaded punch or a pointy dashboard hammer, that's your tempered glass era gear, and it's not designed for laminated glass. What you actually want is something that can cut and not just strike. A hardened carbide tip tool paired with something like a seatbelt cutter or purpose-built laminated glass tools that some newer emergency kits are starting to include. The kind that saw or gouge a starting point rather than trying to shatter the whole pane in one hit. Cutting a controlled opening beats trying to punch a hole that was never gonna appear. Second, figure out what you're actually working with because half of the fight is just knowing your enemy. Go look at the bottom corner of your car's side windows right now. Seriously, pause the window, go check. I'll wait. There's a small etched marking down there, usually near the edge, and it'll say something like laminated or acoustic, or occasionally just show a little logo indicating the glass type. If you see that marking, congratulations, you now know that your quick exit hammer is basically just decorative. If it just is tempered, your old gear still works fine. Go ahead and relax. Third, and this is the bigger one, this is a demand better situation, not just buy fancy hammer situation. Because right now, most car buyers have no idea that their side windows changed. Nobody's advertising now with 60% less escapability. So when you're shopping for your next car, and I mean this sincerely, not as a bit, ask about the side glass. Question them. Ask whether there's a mechanical backup, like a manual door release that doesn't depend on electronics that might be fried or underwater. Ask whether the glass is laminated and whether the manufacturer includes an actual cutting tool. Not a hammer that was designed for a different decade. Push for clear labeling as a clear baseline expectation. Not a cute etching you have to go hunting for in a parking lot. Automakers solve for rejection. That's a real win, genuinely. I'm not going to be sarcastic about it. But safety isn't supposed to be a trade where you quietly lose something on the other side of the ledger without being informed about it. If the next generation of safety standards is going to keep leaning on laminated glass, and it probably is, because the rollover numbers are good, then the tools, the training and the labeling, they need to catch up. Right now they haven't. Right now you're driving around with a hammer that's basically a keychain. So here's where I land on this. The old brittle glass, it wasn't perfect. It had a real ugly failure mode where people got thrown from vehicles they should have stayed inside of. But it had one beautiful underrated feature. When you needed out, it let you out. The new glass fixed the first problem and quietly created a second one, and the issue is that it did it without really telling anyone. Check your windows, look for that little etching. Swap the $11 hammer in your glove box for something that can actually cut. And next time you're at a dealership, ask the awkward question about the side glass. It's fine to ask questions. And honestly, considering how bad the clerks at dealerships are at knowing the product, maybe just search it up on the internet, that also works. If this scared you a healthy amount, that was the goal, so I'm sorry. But go check your windows right now and let me know in the comments what you found. And if you want the deep dive on the trauma response side of this, I've got more on that coming up. So subscribe if you'd like to survive your next car with slightly better odds. I'll see you in the next one.